You'll hear that either tomorrow night or Thursday night. But they actually got to that point where they panicked. Large numbers of people actually were heading for the hills. Really.
It's sick because the one thing that we need the least is a revolution.
Yep.
We're not going to like what comes out of it. It may not turn out the way we want it to turn out. It may turn just the opposite.
Revolution, you never know what the outcome of a revolution will be.
Yeah.
But a restoration has something different. We all know what the outcome is going to be. We know what the goal is, to restore constitutional Republican government, to do away with the excesses in government, to arrest those who have subverted this country and destroyed it, and hold them until they can be tried by a jury of their peers as the Constitution dictates, and find out if they're innocent or guilty.
I agree. I mean,
and if they're guilty, hang them.
Lenin said that socialism was brought about through revolution.
Yeah.
And that's what these people are trying to do, basically.
They're trying to instigate the American people to rise up against the government to justify changing the entire character of this nation and bring about one world totalitarian socialist government.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Now, Bill, is it just my imagination, or has that network been the same network that Mark Kornke has had that's gone through, 3 or 4 different changes of name and et cetera?
No, I don't think so. Mark Kornke and John Stadtmiller started out with their own network, and that became Truth Radio Network. Right. And Stadtmiller does have a show on Genesis Communications Network, but Truth Radio Network is something entirely different.
Because it all seems to me sometimes, I remember back in listening to Shortwave a couple years ago, it was always the same voices, different names, always the same players in the play.
Yeah.
Just different character names.
Sure.
So, and I think it's just more of the same.
Yeah, and you'll never find anybody like me on any network like that, because they certainly don't want the American people to really know what the truth is.
No. Well, I'll let you go.
Okay. Thanks for calling. Or anybody like you, Monty. 520-333-4578. Monty runs Radio Free Vermont, which carries this broadcast and other good broadcasts, and he does his own broadcasting in Vermont. He has successfully whipped the butt of the FCC when he did exactly what I told him to do. See, the argument with the FCC is never freedom of speech or anything else like that. It's always jurisdiction. And if you stick to jurisdiction and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, they can't win. It's absolutely impossible. Unless they stand up openly in front of the entire world and rip the Constitution to shreds. If they do that, then they can win anything they want to do, because they can make their own rules, which, they do whenever they can. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, Bill, good evening. First, I'd like to say this live feed on the internet is a great thing.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't been able to get you on the shortwave. So
yeah, you can thank Scott Becker for that live internet feed.
I thank them every night. Reason why I'm calling, being I live here in New Jersey, kind of reminds me of something that happened, 40, 50 years ago, when there was a radio broadcast that supposedly we were being invaded from Mars.
Oh, yeah.
The War of the Worlds.
Uh-huh.
And it pretty much terrorized the metropolitan area here.
It did.
People were shooting at water towers and...
Yeah.
And
what was the name of the city in New Jersey that was featured in
was it Grover's Mill?
Yeah, Grover's Mill. Yeah. All the people in Grover's Mill forgot they even had a water tower. They came out with their guns, and they saw their water tower in the night, in the moonlight, in the starlight, and they thought it was one of the alien tripod machines, and they shot their own city water tower full of holes.
Right. And from just listening to that 45-minute clip, it just brought me back to remember listening to that show. And it just amazed me that people just don't look out their own window to see what's actually going on.
Yeah, well, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
I think they want something to be going on. I think they're waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. I think they're waiting for somebody to whip them up and get their adrenaline going and make fools out of them.
But some people want that, though.
I know they do.
And
they're called stupid sheeple.
Because I work on aircraft, and that night I was working, and matter of fact, I was actually using the HF radio that he said was not working, because we do time checks all the time, and that's at 10.00, And I just wanted to listen to the Universal Coordinated Time to wait for the actual real midnight, which most of the industry uses, which was 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah. How'd you like the way he was whipping up the Christians by calling Putin a demon? Putin is just a human being that happens to live in the Soviet Union and has risen to some position of prominence. We may not like his politics. Exactly. We may not like his philosophy, but he's just a man like everybody else. He is not a demon.
Well, he was just a person just to put on a pedestal so everybody can fear. Oh,
Colonel Alex Jones, he's a demon. He's a demon.
Heck, I could put some of my bosses on work and make them demons too. You know? I'm sure to be worse.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. I'll get off the air so somebody else can call.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. If you got any guts, call us up. Let us know what you think about it. If you disagree, call up and let us know what you think about it. Not too many people do that, though. They don't know how to participate in a real argument. People think that an argument is yelling at each other. An argument is two people taking opposing sides in a conversation. And why it's called an argument is because each one has to support their side with facts in a decent, polite, intelligent exchange of ideas. That's what an argument really is. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hello, Bill. I'm calling from Canada.
Hi.
I can barely hear you here every night. The VOA is wiping you out every night here.
Well...
But I can just barely hear what you're saying, but I listen to Jones every day, and I don't think he's a government agent, but I don't believe most of what he says.
Well, good for you. You shouldn't, because most of what he says is definitely not true.
He was trying to set us up for doomsday.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing he always talks about every day is that there's Chinese and Russian troops all over the U.S. Have you seen any?
There are no Chinese and Russian troops in the U.S. except those who are on legitimate exchange training programs.
And then another thing, he says that Canadian and Mexican troops are getting ready to invade the U.S.
That's a lie. That's
Can
a
you
bull.
believe this? Canadian.
We
only have a total of about 50,000 troops in our whole military.
Yeah.
We can barely defend our own country.
Yeah, that's a bull. It's just a bold-faced lie. I'm calling him a liar when he says that right now. It's a lie. Canadian troops and Mexican troops are not gearing up to invade the United States of America.
Yeah, well, that's something he repeats that every day.
I know, but the Mexican troops have their hands full with the Zapatistas down in southern Mexico, and they sure don't want to tangle with the United States of America, I can guarantee you.
Well, certainly.
They couldn't even beat the... Let me tell you something. Yeah. They'd have trouble with the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that the Mexican army is a bad army. They just don't compare with our level of training and technology, and they've never fought major wars like we have. Their training is... They couldn't do it. They just could not do it. They're good, decent people down there in Mexico.
So what does he think they're going to do? Occupy the United States?
Who?
This is ridiculous.
It's a lie. It's just a bold-faced lie. And hold off on that. See, I don't know if he's a government agent or not, but if he's not a government agent, he was sure duped on December the 31st.
Well, I think he's been duped himself by a lot of this stuff.
Well,
you know,
could be.
He actually believes it.
Wait till you hear later on, either tomorrow night or Thursday night, a general is going to come out and make an announcement that is going to fulfill all of this stuff that he's building people up to
about
believe.
The missiles being shot off.
Well, we're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to hold that till tomorrow night or Thursday night.
Okay.
And you'll see where this is leading. He builds people up, and then the government delivers the coup de grace. And then he whips up the frenzy, and you can hear the fear and the adrenaline in his voice, and you can tell that these people are panicked.
Right on.
And it causes panic in the population, and people start heading for the hills. They were scared to death.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll keep listening.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. See, I bet you most of the people who were listening on December 31st don't even have the brains to be able to put all this together and understand that they were set up to be terrorized, to become hysterical, to head for the hills, to do something stupid, and I'm awful glad that didn't happen. You see, they went overboard. They scared them so bad that they didn't riot. They were trying to dig holes. Good evening. You're on the air.
Oh, Mr. Cooper, it's George in Arkansas.
Hi, George.
I'm glad you've put this all out for everybody to analyze and listen to again. I myself missed it when it was initially on.
Well, you got to do that because people don't think anymore. And see, if I didn't lay this out and let them examine it, they would never even know it occurred, even though they were listening to it and got scared by it all.
Yes, sir. And before anyone realized what was really going on, they would be out in panic mode doing whatever.
Yeah.
And,
well, many of them were, but thank God they didn't riot.
He was also on Tex Mars's show the other night. I had listened to him and spewing this same stuff that he had the other night, and of course promoting his video. Now
he claims that he's always said that Y2K would amount to nothing and nothing would happen. Well, you can see by what you listened to that's not true. He was promoting it, and I listened to his show this morning. He's still saying that everything. What he's doing is pulling all the normal news